UFOs, by their very name, are unidentified, and this week Melissa Long takes a look at that phenomenon. Her aim is not to judge, but to relay the story of people who feel they have experienced something extraordinary. The story is a fascinating one, and here's part one.
You could see it was moving, stayed right with us. So you turned down the half-mile road, and here it come. And it was just on top of us so fast.
There were 3 cone-shaped landing holes there where this thing had been.
I'd never told anyone what these guys looked like, other than that they had big eyes and they were little.
It was absolutely silent and just kind of suspended there, almost like a surrealistic painting.
Something is happening. We don't know what this is.
What is this? This phenomenon called UFOs. Some think it is nothing more than imagination, a planet mistaken for a spaceship, and indeed many cases can be explained. But what about those times when there is no explanation?
It's that maybe 1 or 2 out of 10, or maybe 5 out of 100 cases that are extremely important, very interesting, that we're looking for.
The U.S. government doesn't talk about UFOs at all. The most well-known government investigation, the controversial Operation Blue Book, was conducted in the 50s. 12,518 sightings were investigated. 701 could not be explained. Yet the conclusion of the Blue Book report debunked the theory that UFOs exist. No further study was called for. Out of the lack of overt government research on the subject grew a private network of organizations. Among them is MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network, and the Center for UFO Studies.
The Center for UFO Studies was founded by Dr. J. Allen Hynek in 1973 as a result of many sightings coming to his attention that were not being investigated by the military, the government, or by anyone else that he felt had proper credentials. And for that reason, he called upon scientists throughout this country and abroad, actually, to assist him in attempting to explain the cases that he felt valid and worthy of his time and attention.
Thousands of UFO cases are documented around the world and right here in Indiana. This week, we'll meet some Hoosiers who not only believe they've seen UFOs, but who also feel they've been inside an alien craft, face to face with extraterrestrials.
Fascinating series. Again, it goes on all this week.
The most common kind of encounter with unidentified flying objects is a sighting at some distance. There have been many of these recorded in and around the Fort Wayne area as recently as last month. But even when the sighting was years ago, witnesses remember it as vividly as if it were last night. It was a starry July night in 1966 when a prominent Fort Wayne businessman and his 19-year-old son were on their way up to the family's Clear Lake cottage. They were driving on Road 120 just south of Clear Lake when each sensed something was hovering over their car.
It was about the size of a 2-car garage, or 25 feet in diameter, and it was convex on both the top and the bottom, and it appeared to be in floodlights or all aglow.
The object seemed suspended in midair, about 15 feet above the tree line. It made no sound, and as the older man got out of the car to retrieve a camera from the trunk, the object moved back as if to observe him. Other cars approached and the object's lights dimmed. It swayed from side to side, tilted at an angle, and shot up into the heavens, gone in a matter of seconds.
There was a feeling of being kind of at peace with the world, because we now understood that there were things far beyond those of mortals. Neither one of us are nutcases. It's something that's a very humbling experience, and you know, not everybody believes you, so you more or less keep quiet about it and just appreciate it.
The one reason, if any, that I would consent to be in this program is the fact that I want people to have an open mind, because there are space craft out there, and I think from other planets. Keep an open mind, you may see one someday.
The men's sighting has been recorded in this book, Flying Saucers Here and Now. A feeling of tranquility is not unusual among UFO witnesses. This brother and sister-in-law encountered a huge, brightly lit object one night near Rigdon, Indiana. The witnesses said they were drawn to the hovering, noiseless object and were overcome with a feeling of well-being.
They could be God sent. They could be angels. Whatever they are, they're lovely. I mean, whatever they are.
Tomorrow, I'll talk with an Indianapolis woman whose life has been changed because of her UFO experiences. She is believed to be one of several people who've been examined by occupants of a UFO.
Fascinating series. That's great.
It's fun to do. Tonight, as we continue our look at UFOs in Indiana, we'll introduce you to a woman whose experience is the subject of a best-selling book and an upcoming movie. The woman is one of several people believed by researchers to have been examined by occupants of a UFO.
This is suburban Indianapolis. Not exactly the kind of place you'd expect an alien spacecraft to land. But researchers believe that one did land, not far from here. And what resulted is one of the most well-documented and incredible UFO cases ever.
It is chronicled in this book, Intruders. It tells the story of an Indianapolis woman, Kathy Davis, who had a bizarre encounter in July of 1983 in the backyard of her parents' home. After her mother saw strange lights out by the bird feeder that night, Kathy went to investigate. She saw nothing, but suddenly felt hot.
Like I was on fire. Like all the skin on my body was burning, tingling. And I could hear my heart beating real hard in my ears, and I had to get out of there.
The next morning, there was a strange sight in her backyard. The grass appeared to have been burnt in a circle-like shape, with other burn tracks extending out from the circle. Soil samples indicated the earth had been virtually baked at incredibly high temperatures. Kathy herself began to lose her hair and experienced bizarre physical symptoms, disturbing dreams, and flashbacks.
It wasn't until Kathy sought professional help for her unexplained physical and emotional problems that she remembered, under hypnosis, what happened that night in the backyard.
I remembered a pulling on my arm like I was being tugged down, and then a real sharp pain in my ear that seemed to go all the way through my head. I thought I heard somebody say, "I'm sorry I hurt you." And I can see off to my left a large dark form. I don't want to look at it. Then I remembered hearing my name be called. I remembered hearing a voice, and again like that knowing, saying that it was time to go, goodbye. Whatever it was over.
What Kathy described is now believed to have been an encounter with occupants of a UFO that landed in her parents' yard that night. Her experience, which is supported by the landing traces in the backyard and by neighbors who felt shaking, saw lights, and experienced a loss of electricity that night, is similar to the experiences of at least 200 other people that we know of, possibly more that we don't.
Either these things are happening as people think they are, as they report they are, and as we seem to find in regressive hypnosis that they are, or there's something extremely interesting about human people, about their minds, about the human species that we haven't begun to understand.
After further investigation, it was revealed that Kathy had had other strange experiences that could not be accounted for. Tomorrow, we'll talk to Kathy about what has happened to her and how it has changed her life.
And here's the number of the local Mutual UFO Network office. If you have any questions or would like to report an experience that you can't explain, you can call here for more information. Last night, we introduced you to a woman who is believed to have been examined by occupants of a UFO. Tonight, Kathy Davis tells of other strange encounters as our look at UFOs in Indiana continues.
Kathy underwent hypnosis to unlock the other secrets that were surging into her consciousness. She remembered other encounters, this time with strange beings who seemed to know her and appeared in her bedroom.
Somehow, they were standing by my bed, one behind the other, and they moved and spoke in unison, and they had a black box, small black thing with either a red light on it or in it, with a hole in it, I'm not sure. I was told to hold it and to look at it, and I didn't want to, and I remembered when I first saw them there, I was terrified, and my first thoughts were, if you don't come any closer and don't touch me, I'll be all right.
In an attempt to come to grips with her experience, Kathy fashioned a clay model of her bedroom visitors and drew a sketch, only to discover that other people had reported the same experience and had drawn the same sketch.
When I saw a drawing that a woman in North or South Carolina had made that was so much like mine that when I first saw it, I thought it was mine, I felt sick to the pit of my stomach.
Why would people in Kansas and people on the island of New Guinea have similar experiences, explain them in different languages, but have the details come out almost identical? It doesn't make sense.
What does that lead you to believe? I mean, now that you've had this experience, and now that you know that so many other people have had this experience, what do you think about it? What do you think it is?
I honestly can't say, well, I don't know what it is, but I can say one thing, something is going on. I don't know whether it's psychic, or it's interdimensional, or it's extraterrestrial, or it's something here that we don't know about. You know, I'm smart enough to know that there's a lot of things in this world that we'll never understand. We just can't.
Kathy Davis has had 6 or 7 encounters in all, and she believes that there are more to come. But she's not afraid any longer because she's learned to cope with the strangeness that has invaded her life. And she's hoping that she can help others cope as well.
And I'm a different person. It's opened up something in my mind, some kind of an awareness of myself and of life around me that I never had before.
This week, we've met some people who firmly believe that something very extraordinary is happening in our world. They've all had experiences with UFOs. And throughout the week, we've received calls from many more people who believe the same thing. Officials believe that as many as 90% of all UFO sightings go unreported. Tonight, we offer another look at the people who have come forward. The common perception about people who claim to have seen UFOs is that they're uneducated, unsophisticated, or crazy, or that they're seeking fame or money. But this is almost never the case.
As far as credibility, I believe that's very relative. Most often they are very responsible citizens and almost explain their experiences in a apologetic way, like they don't even expect us to believe them.
Neither one of us have capitalized on this over the years as far as paid speeches, articles in the National Enquirer or anything like that.
Well, I'm not getting fame. This is you know, you can't see my face, you don't know who I am, what good is this going to do me?
I don't know why they would perpetrate a hoax or lie if there's no obvious motivation for it.
Some of the people who claim to have had these strange experiences are very willing to share that information with the public because they feel that others who may have had such a similar experience need to know that there is a place and there is a reason to share this information safely.
If it could help them to see someone else had the guts to say, hey, I don't care what you think about me, I'm telling you the facts, whether you liked them or not. You know, you make your own judgments as to what you think it was.
You know you're nuts.
I know I'm not nuts.
If you hear someone laughing and talking about flying saucers, you don't have to say anything, but you have the feeling come over you that they're lost, that they've never encountered anything like it.
I was thrilled to death about it and felt that we were probably gifted, that God was very kind to us and we were able to see a flying saucer, because how many people see something like this in a lifetime?
Those people who may be watching this show who may have had such an experience that they think wasn't worthy of being reported, I hope they regard that again and contact someone in this community or write to us at the Center for UFO Studies in Chicago and ask for a report form. And we'll be glad to get one to them, give them the opportunity to share this information confidentially, and let us evaluate what they think may have occurred to them. It may turn out to be a very important little piece in our jigsaw puzzle.